Ready to start. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Orange County School Board's work session, which has been scheduled for today, Tuesday, October 21st, 2025, for the purpose of discussing a number of rezonings. The public will not have an opportunity to participate in this work session to provide public comment because this is not one of our regularly scheduled school board meetings. No action will be taken, and there'll be no open public comment. But again, thank you for joining us. We will begin our meeting with a moment of silence to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And now for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, this morning we have with us Member Ferrant, Member Douglas, Vice Chair Byrd, Member Gallo, and Member Felder. Member Vanos is not going to be joining us today, and I believe that Member Salamanca is planning on attending, so we'll note in the minutes when she arrives. A reminder to the public and to the board members that we won't be engaging in outside digital communication during the meeting so that we can focus our attention to the matters before us. And as always, to my fellow board members, our team here, and myself, remember to speak as close to the microphone as possible so that our Orange TV viewers can hear us. Again, thank you so much for participating in today's meeting. Dr. Vasquez, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This morning we are going to see some rezoning options that our team has been looking into for several months. As you know, our district has been experiencing declining enrollment. We have looked at schools and their capacity and have started, like I said several months ago, to have conversations about what are our options. Do we look at magnets? Do we look at rezonings? Do we look at some of the public-private partnerships in order to increase the number of students within our schools? And so this is the beginning of some of the work that has been taking place and will continue to take place as we look to address the issue of capacity and declining enrollment. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Stacy Neal. She is very familiar with this process, and I will have her introduce her team.
Good morning, Dr. Vasquez, Chair, board members, OCPS staff listening and in the room. Good morning. Today we will, First, let me introduce my staff. I have Renata Parapche, Senior Administrator for Student Enrollment, and Thomas Moore, Demographer for Student Enrollment. So good morning. Once again, we will be presenting 3 targeted rezoning proposals. Just a little routine follow-up. This is our fall 2025 rezoning timeline. We had a community meeting October 8th at 6 p.m. here at the RBELC. Today is the work session. We will have the school board rule development workshop November 6th at 4:30. The school board public hearing December 9th at 5:30. Rezoning process. We follow school board policy JC, where the superintendent will commence rezoning. The timeline that I just went over is developed. We meet with principals, executive leaders, and school board members. We do our research and data collection. We hold community meeting or meetings, rule development workshop. We have a public hearing, and the rezoning notebook where all the information is stored. To re-familiarize everyone of the rezoning types, we have technical, and a technical rezoning generally is uninhabited property and involves no students. So we are not rezoning any students, we are just maybe cleaning up some lines. Targeted rezonings affects small areas, and there are usually a limited number of students involved. We have relief schools rezonings, where we're opening a new school and it does affect a large area and a large number of students. All rezoning information can be found on the OCPS website. If from the home page, you go to schools, there's a drop down and go to school rezonings, where you can find rezonings currently in the works by the grade levels and any board approved rezonings within the last year or so. We also offer a grandfathered transfer. A grandfathered transfer is available for a student who has been rezoned by Orange County Public Schools 2 or more times during a school level, so K through 5, 6 through 8, 9 through 12. And they are at their current address, but OCPS has rezoned them. For a student who has been rezoned from an established school to another established school, in this case, the student may remain at the existing school instead of being reassigned to the rezoned school. For a student who will be in the 5th or 8th grade and will be rezoned to a new relief elementary or middle school, they are also able to grandfather. The following shall apply for grandfather transfers. So transportation is not provided by Orange County Public Schools. Siblings shall be eligible to transfer with a student who is granted the grandfather transfer. These are targeted rezonings, and the deadline to apply would be April 30th of 2026. We do offer, with any rezoning, community input. There are several ways for the community to provide input. We have, there are links that they can go onto our website and click or scan the QR code. We do ask that one input is provided per household. If more than one input is provided, we will use the last input. All input and these surveys must be received by 7 a.m. Monday, October 27th. We offer the option for parents and families, neighborhoods, and communities to provide petitions. In a petition, you must include your name and address, and it must also be received in the Office of Student Enrollment by 7 a.m. October 27th. And I must reiterate, one input per household. You may also email schoolrezoning@ocps.net. Once again, please include your name and address and must be received in the office by 7 a.m. Monday, October 27th. Questions or concerns? So each proposal is supported. Each target rezoning is supported by detailed maps and demographic data to help illustrate the potential impact on students, families, and schools. I'll walk you through each scenario, beginning with the rezoning between Carver Middle School and Chain of Lakes Middle School. Let's start by reviewing the map to orient you with the current and proposed zones. Green lines indicate current middle school boundaries. The hashed section marks the targeted area to be rezoned. Purple represents the proposed zone for Chain of Lakes Middle School, and green for Carver Middle School. Option 1 proposes rezoning 9 middle school students from Chain of Lakes Middle School to Carver Middle School. The primary benefit is a significant reduction in travel distance from approximately 6 miles to just 0.3 miles. Here is a zoomed-in view of the area adjacent to Carver Middle School. The next slide represents demographic overview of the rezoning. The first column shows the name of the school involved in the rezoning with the school's Florida Inventory of Schoolhouses Capacity, otherwise known as FISH. FISH capacity refers to the official number of students a school is designated to accommodate, as determined by the state. This figure is maintained by district staff in the Florida Inventory of Schoolhouses, a comprehensive database that includes every room in all district-owned schools. Carver Middle School's FISH capacity is 1,240 students, and Chain of Lakes is 1,141. The next column displays student enrollment captured on October 15, 2024, with a percentage breakdown for race and ethnicity, white, black, and other, and non-Hispanic and Hispanic. For Carver, 640 enrollment, 10% white, 89 black, and 1% other, 88% non-Hispanic, and 12% Hispanic. For Chain of Lakes, 956 enrollment, 50% white, 45% black, and 5 other, with 59% non-Hispanic and 41 Hispanic. The third column shows enrollment on October 1, 2025. Carver Middle School, 541, and Chain of Lakes Middle School, 830. The fourth column displays current number of students residing in each zone. There are 937 students in Carver Zone and 1,616 in Chain of Lakes. The next column shows how many students will be residing in each zone if this rezoning takes place. Carver Middle School, 946 students with 11% white, 87% black, and 2% other, 87% non-Hispanic, and 13% Hispanic. Projected numbers of students attending Carver in 2026 will be between 575 and 595 students. For Chain of Lakes, the numbers are as follows: 1,607 students with 60% white, 32% black, and 8% other, and 56% non-Hispanic and 44% Hispanic. There are between 840 and 860 students projected to attend Chain of Lakes in August of 2026, if this rezoning takes place. The next column is farms, free and reduced meals. Current percentage for Carver is 76%, and proposed is also 76%. For Chain of Lakes, 37% current and proposed. ESE, which stands for Exceptional Student Education, is 15% current and proposed for Carver, 7 for Chain of Lakes. ELL, English Language Learners, is 9% current, proposed for Carver is 20 and 21% for Chain of Lakes. I will give you a moment to review the numbers. We have another option. Option 2 expands the rezoning area to include 23 additional OCPS students. 1 minute, sure.
Sorry, I had a hard time getting my mic turned on. I have a question on the proposed enrollment for Chain of Lakes. So the resides goes down just a couple of students, correct?
For Chain of Lakes?
Yeah.
Yes, with the proposed rezoning. So we're moving kids from Chain of Lakes into Carver.
So my question is, the enrollment goes up.
At Carver, yes.
No, I'm sorry, what the projected enrollment goes from 830 to 840 to between 840 and 860. So even though the resides is going down, the projected enrollment is going up.
I'm going to answer that because, all right, so when we developed this, we did it based on projections that were done before the opening of the school year. So now we've started getting the enrollments, and as we know, everyone's enrollment is coming in low.
Right.
So it looks like, oh, we got this low enrollment, and then next year we have a little bit higher enrollment because it's based on a projection that is slightly older. So what's likely going to happen is when I do update the projections this coming fall, they're all going to come down some.
Okay.
So that's why, and a lot of this, when we go through this, is you're going to see that.
Okay.
And everyone came in low,
Okay.
except for, and I can tell you, except for Ocoee Middle School, they came in high because we allowed capacity transfers. And Cypress Creek, excuse me, Cypress Creek High came in
Okay.
high.
Okay, so to make sure I understand it, the reason is the timing of the projections, basically. Okay. Okay. I thought perhaps you were looking at a student population that was more likely to remain in our schools, but okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Member Gallo.
Thank you, Chair. So I have a couple questions. In looking at this, because we do understand that these projections are a little older, it's harder for me as a school board member to kind of determine what makes sense because our projections, we don't know what they're going to look like, right? So I don't want to move students and disrupt students if we don't have accurate numbers. And I know that this is a process and this is just the beginning of it. But it feels like there's a lot that's going to happen over the next few months with, especially in November 11th, when we start receiving letters for real on co-locating and all of that. Or we're not? I'm sorry, do I misunderstand?
No, there are only certain schools that would fall under
Okay.
that category.
That makes sense.
Additionally, they've been working on this for at least 9 months.
Okay.
And so there are other schools that we have held off because we anticipate there could be a fluctuation. That is not the case. They've been working
Okay.
with numbers for quite a number of years, not to use the word too many times, but they feel confident after all of the studying they have done that the numbers here are pretty accurate.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate that. I do have 2 questions. So the fish capacity, what is the difference between the fish capacity and like the permanent capacity? Because I know in previous years, we've always looked at the perm capacity, and now we're looking at the fish capacity. So if you could just explain for me and the public what the difference between those 2 numbers are as far as student stations.
Okay. So just the difference between permanent program capacity and permanent fish capacity is that permanent fish capacity is the state number that they give us. When in the past, we've used permanent program capacity where we've taken the state number and we've adjusted it. We've adjusted it for different reasons. For example, ESE classrooms that weren't in the building, we made adjustments to that. We had a utilization rate to make an adjustment to help schools that were having trouble meeting class size reduction because they had to fill up all the classrooms. So in all the cases, permanent program capacity is lower than permanent fish capacity. And the reason it was like that is to give that extra room. But permanent fish is the one that the state uses. It's the one that is in our work plan. It's the one that drives, I guess, the funding mechanism. So we have now kind of aligned with that because over the past 15 years, we've actually made many adjustments to our fish to include those ESE classrooms and made changes to spaces where we could to make, as the schools were rebuilt, to make them have those programmatic spaces. So although it's not perfect, it is the state number, and that's why we're using that right now.
Does the fish capacity truly depict the availability at the schools, or does the permanent program capacity do a better job?
I think the permanent program capacity does a better job.
Okay, so when we look at the fish capacity, that may not be a true depiction of how the classrooms are being used, especially for ESE and whatnot, and when you adjust for classroom size.
Potentially, yes.
Okay. And I think that that's an issue that everybody is having across the district. So I just wanted to understand it more myself, and I wanted the public to understand that fish capacity doesn't mean that that's the actual room that we have available in our building. My next question is, and I know that we've discussed this at a previous work session, but what is, for middle schools, what is the enrollment number that is needed so that they'll be self-sustainable or self-sufficient? Like, how many students do we need at a middle school so that they are basically paying for themselves?
Give me a moment to find
Sure.
that. I know where it is. Hold on.
Thank you. And if you have like elementary and high school available at the same time, let me
Can't
know just so that I
remember.
can write it down.
No, I'm trying to remember. I'm having trouble remoting into my desktop at work. I know it's in the work session.
Oh, yeah. I think Dr.
I don't think it's on the server.
Ask Ernest.
Okay, so let's,
We'll-
those were my questions, Madam Chair, so just keep looking for it, and you can, whoever finds it can let us know. Thank you.
And one quick follow-up on the fish versus program. If I understand what you were saying, Mr. Moore, is through new schools and our design, we're trying to design our schools so that our program capacity is closer to our fish capacity. Yeah, okay. Making them functionally more efficient. Okay, thank you. All right, when we have the answer to that, we'll come back, but thank you for asking, because I likewise am interested in that. All right,
Okay.
Ms. Neal.
Going the wrong way. Okay, so we do have an option 2, which expands the rezoning area to include 23 additional OCPS students. The goal is to align the feeder pattern so that all students from Eccleston Elementary School are zoned to attend Carver Middle School. Like option 1, this area is geographically closer to Carver Middle School, which will result in shorter bus routes while still maintaining transportation services. Here is a zoomed-in view of the area. A demographic breakdown for option 2 is also available for your review. Please take a moment. So far, we have received input from 2 families. Option 1, 2 oppose. Option 2, we have 1 in support and 1 opposed. Once again, the survey does close October 27th. Dr. Vasquez?
Thank you. They are researching the information about the break-even points. Additionally, I just want clarification. We have worked with our numbers at fish capacity to include, right, the programs that are in those schools, including ESE, which is why we made the decision to go with the state number, because they are very much aligned. Just to clarify that, yes. It's not just the new facilities. They've worked, Stacy and her team have worked with JESMA, and the principals and the Division of Learning to make sure that if the programs are there, they're reflected. And then as they're planning for, let's say, next year, if there are new units that are going to be put into a classroom, that they coordinate. So the fish number is very close to the actual number. So we will need the board to, I'm sorry, Stacy, did you also share which is the district's recommendation? Option 1 or option 2?
Option 2.
Thank you. And so we just need the board to give us either an agreement or a thumbs up that you align with us with option 2 as we continue the next steps.
Member Felder?
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. We've been talking about this for some time. Let me just understand with the options and make sure that I have some clarity. It's only about 9 students, am I correct in saying that would be leaving the Chain of Lakes going to Carver, or am I getting that incorrectly?
With option 2, it'd be a total of about 32.
32 students.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, when I go back to the map, because it looked like when I was looking at the map, okay, let me explain to you where I'm coming from. And I know we have gotten away from that to an extent, but I just remember years and years ago when the district was doing all of this rezoning and how it just did not make sense that they were busing so many students out of my community into like Oak Ridge or Memorial, and then you had Carver right there. And then they were busing them to Maynard Evans and Robbinswood, and you had Carver and Jones right there. So I guess my concern, I don't want the same thing happening. Is it going to? Because if you have kids, say on, I hate to throw out a street because then people listen and say, oh, are they doing that? Say Lescott, busing them to Chain of Lakes, and Lescott is about 5 streets over from Carver. It doesn't make any sense. In Carver Shores. You understand what I'm saying? So you say the district superintendent, you say they went with option 2. Is that the 32 kids leaving?
Yes, Madam Felder. 7 was the first option, I believe, where you heard the 7.
Oh, okay, with 7.
So option 2 is 32, a little bit more, not significant. And again, I want to also point out there's a significant travel time that these students will not be on a bus as well.
Yeah.
With the shorter distance.
Yeah, I remember that some of the issues that we were having with the travel time, and then because we're having significant concerns about buses, we don't have enough bus drivers, so buses are getting there late and so forth. So with the 32 at Carver, then we won't have that bus situation, right?
Correct. There might be a small portion, if you look on option 2, that's closer to, 36th Street, that may need a bus, but it will not compare to the 6+ miles or more that they were traveling.
And this is with option 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, so I think I like that too. All right, thanks, yeah, that makes sense. I just wanted to get some clarity. Thank you.
Member Gallo?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know the chair brought this up, and I know that the projections or I'm trying to understand. Okay, so what is in parentheses is the expected projection. The 969 is just the number of students that reside in that area. Is that correct? So the 969 is not our projection.
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. That makes, so we're projected to, with the additional 33 students that may be rezoned, our projection is between 590 and 610 for Carver for the next school year. I'm looking at the option 2. I'm looking at the proposed resides and the rezoning projections for 2026 on page 19. So our proposed projection for enrollment is anywhere from 590 to 610 at this point.
At
That may
this
change.
point,
Okay.
yes.
And that's still far below the fish capacity. Like, that's half.
Yes.
So I'm assuming we're having conversations around that low enrollment? Okay, thank you.
Dr. Vasquez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we're having several conversations around declining enrollment. And as I've mentioned, this is the first action that you will be taking to address some of that. You're going to be hearing in the next couple of months about possible partnerships to have micro schools in some of those areas. And we are also looking at schools that we may need to repurpose because the enrollment is below 50% of the capacity. We're not at a point right now to be able to share more, but we have to look at that as a possible option to address our declining enrollment. Additionally, we're looking at expansion of magnet programs, especially those that we have wait lists that we can replicate to give parents more choice. Additionally, I do have the break-even numbers for elementary. The number is 680 or above. For our K-8s, it's 1,040 or above. For middle school, it's 850 or above. And for high school, it's 1,600. I will forward an email to the board so you have those numbers as reference.
Thank you. Thank you.
Follow-up?
Yeah, one question, Madam Chair, if I may. Do we know where the students that are choosing not to attend Carver, do we know where they're going?
Yes.
While she's getting that information, I want to make sure it's clear that we know if there were students that were currently enrolled in OCPS or a charter. If it's a student that has never entered or has not had any services from us, we're not able to track that.
That is
Understood. Thank you,
correct.
Dr. Vasquez.
Ms. Neal?
So we have transfers into Apopka Middle School, but it's 601 students, so 64% are attending Carver Middle School. So you have transfers into Howard, that's 60 students. Some students are home education. A lot of the students are mostly transfers into other OCPS schools. And a large number, not large, but 30 students to Legends. But the majority are going to other Orange County public schools.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. All right, Member Douglas.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the comprehensive work that you've done. It's really, it really demanded a lot of research, and we can see you put a lot into doing this. I just wanted to ask, what is okay, you said the survey was going to close October 27th?
Yes, ma'am.
And that survey that went to the community, the parents, the stakeholders, everybody in there?
So our input is on the website for anyone to reply or, provide input. We send notices to the families involved directly, though.
Okay. And what was the response in general? Can you?
So far, we've only received two
Okay.
for the option 1, and they were opposed. 2 for option 2, 1 opposed, and 1 for.
Okay. So the survey closes the 27th?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so then we're going to have a better picture of what people think in that community. the
With hopes
27th.
that families will provide input.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Douglas. One follow-up to Member Gallo's question. If we know where the students that were in our school went, do we know the demographics?
We didn't pull it for this meeting, but yes, we could find out.
All right.
I mean, we can
Yeah.
access that
All right.
information.
Thank you. All right. Dr. Vasquez, back to you.
I'm going to assume we have consensus to go with option
sorry.
2.
Does anybody object to moving forward with option 2 at this point? It's not a final decision, but no objection. Thank you.
Yeah, it will come back as after the survey, so you'll get
Yeah.
one more opportunity. All right, next we are going to hear about the rezoning for Cypress Creek High School and Lake Nona High School.
I'm confused. Oh,
My fault. I apologize. Not enough coffee. I skipped over Ocoee Middle School in Robbinswood.
I was going to make it
Thank you.
work. Give me a second. Sorry. Okay. Our second targeted rezoning involves Ocoee Middle School in Robbinswood. This proposal focuses on realigning feeder patterns to create a more consistent educational pathway for students zoned for Citrus Elementary School. The targeted area is currently zoned for Citrus Elementary, Robbinswood Middle School, and Ocoee High School. If approved, the entire Citrus Elementary School zone will feed into Ocoee Middle School and Ocoee High School, streamlining the feeder pattern. This change will benefit 48 middle school students. Let's review the map. Once again, green lines represent current middle school boundaries. The hashed section marks the target area to be rezoned. Purple indicates the proposed zone for Ocoee Middle School, and green for Robbinswood Middle School. Here is the zoomed-in view of the area. The next slide represents demographic overview of this rezoning. Please take a moment to review the data and consider the potential benefits of this alignment. We received or have received input from one family in support of this rezoning. Dr. Vasquez?
Thank you. Madam Chair, we're open to any questions or comments the board might have. In this case, we have one option that we are proposing.
all right. Just give us a minute to review the numbers. Thank you. Member Farad?
Hey, I just had a quick question. When you're drawing the lines, how do you split that? When I'm looking at the map, not my area, so I guess I don't know maybe this exact location. But for instance, everything to the right, it almost looks like it's cutting through. Is there a road that runs along that line?
So this
Yes.
particular rezoning aligns exactly with the elementary school lines.
Perfect.
It goes right exactly like the elementary.
But what you're asking is why is the elementary school line like that?
Yeah, right. Like, is there a
So-
neighborhood split, or is that like a main road?
We
or how does that
align
work?
with the property appraiser's office, and so these do not split up neighborhoods. They go down the backside of the neighborhood, so you include both sides. So if you see Village Green, for example, you include both sides of the Village Green go into that one zone rather than splitting. If you went down the street and lined with the street, you would be splitting the neighborhood up and people across the street would be going to different zones. But, so this includes the whole neighborhood.
Got it. Okay. Just curious. Thank you.
Member Front, that's a great question. It occurs to me that I'm not sure, you have several criteria that you use when you're looking at your zones besides just the demographics. And it might be helpful from time to time to go through that with the board because, I'm not sure when we last talked about the neighborhoods, but I know, as a parent way back when, that was an issue. And there's, I think, a lot of really thoughtful stuff that goes into these decisions besides just numbers. So.
Yes, we do our best to not split communities. We use roadways as much as possible, streets, but we do not cut through parcels.
Right, as well as feeder pattern. I mean, there's just a number of things that once upon a time just honestly weren't taken into consideration. So we appreciate the leadership and we appreciate all that you put into this process. Thank you.
No,
all right,
thank you.
any other questions?
We are so glad you are here.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. We are glad we are here too.
Glad to be here.
Yes.
My apologies. I thought I had
Yeah.
Of course it was.
it was more reasons than AI person.
I would say that might like the voice of God, but okay. Yeah, that was funny. All right.
Our last rezoning for today involves Cypress Creek High School and Lake Nona High School.
Let me ask the superintendent's question. Does anybody have any concerns? Obviously, we have only one option in front of us, but I don't hear any concerns. So, all right, thank you.
This proposal aims to realign the feeder pattern for middle and high school students currently zoned for Luminary Middle School and Cypress Creek High School. If approved, this change will fully align the Luminary Middle School zone with Lake Nona High School. There are currently 136 high school students residing in the target area. Let's review the map. Blue lines represent current high school boundaries. The hashed section marks the targeted area for rezoning. Purple indicates the proposed zone for Cypress Creek and green for Lake Nona High School. Here is a zoomed-in view of the area. The next slide represents demographic overview of the rezoning. Once again, please take a moment to review the data and consider how this proposal supports a more unified and efficient feeder pattern for students in the Luminary Middle School. Currently, we have received input.
Hold on 1 minute, if you would. Huh? Oh, no, I was just giving everybody a chance to have heads up, and then we have a couple of board members with questions. Let's start with Member Ferrant and then Member Gallo.
My question, I'm not remembering off the top of my head how many new capacity seats will we have with the new addition to Cypress Creek? Do you guys know? No. I know Rory's back there. He might have it somewhere, but I'm just curious how much that will add, because even when we transfer students over and we make the kind of rezone, we're still definitely over capacity at Cypress. It would be awesome to try to alleviate some of their congestion there.
All right, do we have an answer?
Do you happen to have do you know how many seats are coming with that new, we're adding like capacity to Cypress Creek?
We are working with student enrollment, but let me go see what we're currently planning.
Awesome. Thank you. I guess my only concern is just that there's, I love, first of all, I love the fact that we're aligning things so that it follows a feeder pattern. As a kid myself, I remember going from elementary school, everything split, our elementary school split into two, and half of the kids went to one middle school, half went to another. And it was definitely an adjustment, and kids that lived just down the street from me all of a sudden weren't at my school. So to continue that feeder pattern, I absolutely love it. And maybe this is something for a different conversation, down the road, but just curious how much that extra, the capacity that we're adding there will help kind of alleviate that. But thank you.
And to clarify, you're looking for fish capacity or program capacity? Dr. Vasquez?
I believe she's asking with the additional capacity enhancement, how overcrowded will the school be based
Right.
on their fish capacity?
So I was trying to understand what student enrollment had to do with that question, but.
Well, because they provide the data as to how many students are there. And so when you're looking at the building of this additional facility or additional stations, they build it to incorporate that number.
Okay.
That's exactly right. I think that is the answer, is that when we come up with capacity enhancement, we're looking at long-range enrollment projections, and they are sized to accommodate long-range projections. Our plan is that when we complete a capacity enhancement, and again, it depends upon the timing, so if we see enrollment declining, then there may be a short period of time where there's still portables, but eventually, we're looking 10 years out and sizing it appropriately. And so, and we haven't finalized the planning for Cypress Creek, so if this rezoning occurs, then our final plan would size that so that, again, at the end of 10 years, based upon the zones, that we wouldn't have any portables on the campus.
Okay. Is that any other questions, Member Front? All right, thank you. Member Gallo?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I answered my own question, so I'm good for now.
Okay. You want to share the answer with us? No.
I was looking at the capacity for Lake Nona and just the distance, because it looks like this is farther out. But then the feeder pattern makes sense. You want to keep middle schools, all the kids together, so it makes sense that it might be a little further out. It still makes sense to move them. So thank you.
Got it. Okay. Vice Chair?
Thank you, Chair. I just have a question on Lake Nona's numbers. I'm looking at the current number of students residing in the school zone is 2,500, but they have 2,800 enrollment right now. So I'm curious why they have more kids attending Lake Nona. 28.
2573. That is weird.
Okay. Okay, but I'm seeing, okay, yeah, you're right, that's capacity, but I'm seeing enrollment at 29.
Yeah, all right, so I can
Current
explain
enrollment
that.
at 29.
Now, keep in mind, when we relieved Lake Nona High School, and the new school that relieved it only opened up with 3 grade levels. So right now, Lake Nona's enrollment is very high because they have that, or not right now, but last year when this was taken, which was October of 2024, they still had that very large 12th grade. So this year, their enrollment went down. The enrollment went down because now everyone moved up. They no longer have that giant 12th grade. And so the enrollment is somewhere in the 2413. It went down significantly. It's still a rapidly growing area because it's got the whole southern part of Lake Nona, but that's why there's such a big difference. So the residing 2573 aligns with where their current enrollment is.
Got it, thank you.
All right, Member Salamanca.
Thank you. Member Gallery, sure you're done commenting on Lake Nona High School?
They did host me for homecoming.
Yeah, there's a picture that I will be coming up
Yes,
soon.
and so I was there
Yeah.
instead of their board member to support homecoming.
Folks
So
will
I kind of feel like
see-
I'm an honorary member of Lake Nona now.
There's going to be a picture coming up of Angie Gallo wearing the correct gear at a Lake Nona High School game. So a couple things. So totally aware of the senior class, Innovation High School opening up. Innovation High School is also under capacity because it's catching up and there's still way to go. Innovation High School was an open enrollment school this year in high school, which was great. And, I talked to the superintendent about this, and this was a concern for me going into this year, aware this Cypress Creek thing was going to be coming down, that Lake Nona, if it continues to be so below enrollment after projections kick in and some of the development, and Cypress Creek is back in that I would love for it also to follow the policy of being open enrollment after this year, especially if innovation is also going to be open enrollment, because that area is just, I think it's been all over the news, and there's a big election happening where I think Narcoossee is now the third most congested road. And I think a lot of this, call it attention in media, is really going to hurt this. And so I understand why we didn't have it as open enrollment this year. I understand we were adjusting for some of these numbers. But next year, I think it's definitely one of my top priorities to make sure that if we do it for one school, we do it for both, because they're both under capacity, and we just need to get that. And I think both Innovation and Lake Nona have a lot of students that are in FLVS and still do activities with these schools. And I just don't see the rationale for us to lose funding for schools that we could, like students that we could have in our schools. So I know we changed the policy on enrollment and open enrollment, so I have heard from the community very loud and clear that they really want the school to be open enrollment if we are ever under capacity to this degree. So, but thank you for this. I know this is a tough area to work with, and hopefully a lot of the development and construction, at least in that southern part with the county, is coming to completion, but it's also getting a bad rep because of Narcoossee. Member Gallo loves Narcoossee. But it's tough. It's tough. And so I think that to a degree that we can remind folks, it is an incredible school. And we have incredible teachers and staff there in Innovation High School. And let's just make sure we don't let the crazy news and everything that's going on with Narcoossee and the politics of it all to get in the way of getting the funding and the right student enrollment for these schools, because they're incredible. So thank you.
Thank you, Member Salamanca. Do we have any other input? There's no one else signed up. So we're good with moving ahead, it looks like, with that last one. Okay. Superintendent?
And that is the
Oh.
end of our presentation.
Hold on. Member Gallo, just.
Oh.
Okay. So that's the end of this presentation. Member Gallo.
So we're done with our.
We're done.
So we came in. Bridget, Dr. Williams, we came in at 9 a.m. when we could have come in at 10.
Wait a minute. To be fair, there is no way to know with this board
This
if
is
it's
true.
going to be a 1 hour work session or a 5 hour work session.
This
So-
is very true. I just can't help myself. I love the Bridget.
I told Bridget y'all be done fast.
See, this is why Dr. Armbruster is my favorite. He's, clearly the only early bird around here is Dr. Williams. So a couple of things that I wanted to discuss with the board this week, or this past week. I know there's been a lot of conversations in the media and around the community regarding Schools of Hope and the new law that's going into effect to co-locate. I know that FSBA has working groups to discuss it. FADS has working groups to discuss it. FEL has working groups to discuss it. that our general counsels for school boards are also discussing it, because we're going to have to rely largely on legal to determine what can and cannot happen. So I was hoping that, I don't know if we could have a communications meeting regarding it, or have a work session to discuss what are our plans. I know that we have not received any letters yet. The only letter that was sent and meant for Orange County actually went to Osceola County, and that also happened in Polk and Pinellas too. They're sending letters, and they're not even sending them to the correct district in their haste to get these letters out. But I would really like to have a conversation. I know that the district's been working on it behind the scenes, but I'd like to have a public conversation about what is our plan, what are we going to do, and then a communication strategy so that we can also be very transparent with our community on what we're doing, so that they understand, A, what's at stake, what schools are kind of open for that co-location, that are available for that location, because right now parents don't even know that their schools might be one that a charter school could move into. So I would like to have those conversations sooner rather than later. So I'm at the will of the board on what that looks like. I would, at the very minimum, we need to have a communication meeting to talk about communication strategy. I would like to see if the board has an appetite for a work session to discuss it, because I think this is going to be, time is of the essence. Other boards are already meeting to talk about how they're going to reimagine or repurpose schools. They're targeting rezoning. I know that we've been doing that behind the scenes, but I think it's important that we get that information out in the open to the public. So I just wanted to know the board's thoughts on that and how quickly we could put something together.
Can I follow up on that, Chair, just because she asked about communication? We have a communication meeting set for December 9th, because that was like the earliest we could, I think, work one out. So I would be in favor of instead doing a work session. I think that would be better anyway for the public.
Okay.
That would be my opinion.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I agree too. I think it is, makes more sense to have the discussion before we talk about how we're going to communicate, to be clear on what we're communicating. Okay, so anybody disagree with that? Okay. All right.
I have one more proposal.
Member Gallo?
Sorry. One more item that I want to discuss. So if y'all have been watching the news the last couple of days, AI and is making it's been around, but we're now realizing the detriments that it has to students. Students are actually having relationships with AI. We've seen some AI platforms being sued because a child committed suicide. So I think as a board, we need to get ahead of this. I know that the legislature's concerned about it. I know that Congress is concerned about it. It was brought up in the conversations I had when I was in DC. We still don't have a really good, vetted, thorough policy on AI, and I think that's another thing that needs to be brought before this board to discuss, because it's really scary what's happening out on social media, and it's really hard to discern between what is real and what is fake. And I think kids need to be aware. I mean, this is just another way kids are being trafficked. This is another way kids are going to be harmed. And I think that we need to get in front of that and start looking at policy, or creating policy, or start looking at how we can protect our kids with AI, and to ensure whatever AI that we're using, which everybody knows I support, we're protecting students and we're being transparent with what we're using in the classroom, because I think this is going to be a major issue with the legislature this year.
Thank you, Member Gallo. Member Salamanca.
Yes, just to quickly respond to Member Gallo's point. So we do have an AI committee that we've met with, and I think that definitely up to get to the board up to speed. But number one priority has been for Maurice and the committee, who has folks leading AI, Advent Health, and big organizations, has been data privacy and security, because anything you stick in there, anyone else that goes and searches comes out the other way. I think kind of the basics of security, data infrastructure, basic student information, all of that has been number one priority. And I appreciate that Maurice has prioritized that. I think the next layer of how does it show up in our district is a larger conversation that is absolutely important. And all over the country, folks are trying to figure this out, not just in education, but in healthcare. It's a black box. You have no idea what's in it and what comes out. I generally believe even if a policy takes a little bit of time, we should have the conversation around AI literacy and education for our parents and our students, of where it can go wrong and how it can go wrong, because I think majority of folks who are not spending all that time in AI aren't sure of how scary it can be. I mean, it took how long for us to realize the detrimental effects of social media? I think AI will be half the time, but it's pretty scary. While also being incredibly mindful that it is a very powerful tool. And if, there have been districts that have completely shut off AI and not given it access, and what ends up happening is there's an enormous inequity of students at home that have access to it and learn, and literacy around how to use it appropriately, and then those who don't have it at home and start falling even further behind. So it is a really difficult topic that I absolutely support that we continue to have a conversation around. And I always encourage this board to attend that one conference that's focusing on AI and net tech, because it probably is the best conference in the country regarding that. And it's a trek to San Diego, but it's totally worth it because you get to meet everyone who's at the leading edge of thinking of AI and its impact on education. So, well, absolutely supportive of having a conversation and catching the board up onto the committees, but it's a hard one.
Thank you, Member Salamanca. I'm going to call on the superintendent in just a minute, but at a much more basic level, and I think one of my concerns is how much AI ultimately may handicap our skill sets. As it is easier to write, and the skill of being able to draft a compelling argument, make compelling arguments. I'm really worried about the things we don't have to learn. And maybe I'm old-fashioned in that sense. I mean, I remember when I actually remember when calculators came out, and everybody was afraid that people would forget how to, multiply, divide, and that's not entirely untrue because of the aid that comes from that. But that and that horrible situation with the young man who took his life, and just quite frightening from a lot of standpoints. But again, an incredible, valuable tool, but a lot to be learned. So I fully support that and look forward to hearing from our board members who have really taken the initiative to get very engaged. Dr. Vasquez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So our CIO, Maurice Dragon, has been heading up the AI task force. He also has been participating in some intensive conversations and trainings across the country that include both school districts as well as business entities around the area of AI. We also have a team next week that will be meeting. There is a cohort of districts from across the country that has taken on that problem of practice. And so it's very interesting, some of the readings that we were given, obviously pro as well as against. But what stood out to me really was about not that you don't have access to it. It's more about fine-tuning your discernment skills so that you're not becoming passively subjective to what it is suggesting for you to do. So it's been very interesting, and I'm sure that conversation is going to continue to evolve. Maurice will be providing an update for the board on this at one of the, I don't remember the date of the board meeting, but that'll be the strategic plan update. Additionally, that last year I started inviting all of the teachers of the year to gather. I believe we're doing that in November, and the topic of conversation is AI. So we're going to hear from them, from their perspective, and then be able to kind of weave that through the work of the AI task force. But we'll keep you updated on what happens, and we'll send you the invite if you want.
Great, thank you. And the event that you talked about with districts, is that across the state or?
It's across the country. It's next week. It starts Sunday night. I think it's Sunday
Monday and Tuesday.
Great, thank you. Well, keep us informed. Anything further for this meeting? No? All right. Then it's 10:22 and the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you all very much.